response to all the recent infighting within MGTOW and the men's rights movement, and to expand upon the concept of self-actualization that I touched upon in my last video regarding the manosphere. In a sense, infighting within the manosphere is natural and expected. Men are biologically competitive, and even if we do see eye to eye 95% of the time, men will go for blood regarding that remaining 5%. Another factor is that those of us who put ourselves out and become involved, either in the men's rights movement, MGTOW, or whatever, have shown ourselves not to be followers. A man who is naturally a follower will never wake up and take the red pill in the first place. It takes a certain level of independence even to find the manosphere, let alone get involved in it proactively. This independence is necessary for the movement, but it's also going to cause us to come to blows over minor issues. Call it ego, call it masculine dominance, call it whatever, it's a fact of life for men. The easiest way to unify men is with a common enemy. This is why anti-feminist channels have far more subscribers than either men's rights or MGTOW channels. A common enemy allows men to put aside their differences, but once men move past anti-feminism, i.e. attacking a common enemy, and into either men's rights or MGTOW, they lose their focus on a common enemy and begin talking about solutions, and then the infighting begins. You saw this with A Voice for Men trying to say that MGTOW can be married, you saw this with Bernard Chapin and Barbarossa arguing about politics, and you saw this with people like Aaron Clarey, Manhood Academy, Pickup Artists, and Manginas calling MGTOW a bunch of cowardly losers that are just afraid of women, and use MGTOW as a mask to hide their insecurities. Conflict can be healthy for a movement, but it's important to make a distinction between enemies and allies with whom we have a disagreement. I think the best way to alleviate disagreements between allies is to have a healthy respect for the concept of an individual's self-actualization. Enemies will remain enemies, but they will be much easier to identify. So in my last video, I defined men going their own way as consisting of two characteristics: anti-traditionalism and male self-actualization. This is where the whole married MGTOW controversy comes from. MGTOW isn't just self-actualization. It also includes a rejection of traditionalism because it is inherently at odds with self-actualization. A man who gets married is owned by his wife and controlled by the state. One could argue that a man's self-actualization could be to serve as a slave and a utility, but that's a contradiction. By that logic, a male feminist is a MGTOW because he's going his own way as a pussy-worshipping mangina simp. However, the concept of self-actualization is very personal and may not conform to your idea of what a self-actualized man should be, and that's another point of contention, but unlike the married MGTOW contradiction, it's not contradictory, but it's merely a matter of preference. For example, if I were to ask 10 people what they would do if they won the lottery and were millionaires tomorrow, I would get 10 different answers. Now, I'm not talking about what they would buy or where they would move, but what would they do? How would they spend their days, weeks, months, and years after all their bills are forever paid and they can do anything? How anyone, including you the listener, answer that question says a lot about your concept of self-actualization. One man might want to drive sports cars and snort cocaine off the breasts of supermodels like Charlie Sheen, and another man might want to retire to a cabin in the woods and never see a human face again. One might travel the world, and one might never leave their home. These are extreme examples, but I use them to demonstrate that people value different things based on their personality. Their self-actualization is going to be different from your self-actualization. Here is what I caution. Do not make the mistake of using ranks or labels to judge someone else's self-actualization. Using Sandman's MGTOW level system, the highest form of MGTOW is someone living off the grid. And while that may be appealing to some, I personally don't want to live like a Unabomber. But I won't judge someone who does have that dream of being beneath me. And I won't say that there's anything wrong with them because they have a different concept of self-actualization than I do. Whether you're a bodybuilder like Louis Marco or a guy with a speech impediment like Razorblade Candy, it doesn't matter. Because the path of self-actualization is not a competition with other people, it's a competition with yourself. The only way to come to the conclusion that your path is quote-unquote better than someone else's path is to use societal standards and external validation, which are antithetical to going your own way. By societal standards, a good man is supposed to be a sacrificial utility. Men are often even branded heroic for sacrificing themselves for others, especially women. That's not a standard that men going their own way should be looking towards for inspiration. I was contacted the other day by a gay man interested in MGTOW named Shiratori from the Philippines. It may seem strange for a gay man to be interested in MGTOW, as most gay men in the West associate more with feminism. But he was trying to learn more about male and female nature, and I think that MGTOW's message of anti-traditionalism and self-actualization may fit more in line with a gay man living in a traditional country like the Philippines than feminism's message of perpetual victimhood and entitlement. Is this man wrong to be interested in MGTOW because of his sexuality? No, I wish him all the best, and I bring up this anecdote to show how different the paths of self-actualization can be. It's fine to be a self-actualized MGTOW and be proud of it. However, realize that your concept of self-actualization is not universally better than another concept. It's just like having a preferred genre of music, of ethnic cuisine, of entertainment. It's all based on personal preference and opinion. Be proud of your accomplishments, and be ready to mentor those who seek a similar path. But don't judge those who do not choose your path as beneath you or wrong. There is no right or wrong answers in the question of self-actualization, because you are the only author to the question, and thus whatever answer you give is the right answer for your life. Be in control of your own life. Function at your highest capacity, and accomplish your dreams and goals. If you're doing all these things, what else matters?